The first Homo species, Homo habilis, appeared in Africa around 2.8 million years ago. Back then, the savannas were dominated by much larger animals than today. This is a reconstruction of what our distant relative looked like, but we are not going to show you that here. Instead, we will focus on its humble beginnings as a small proto-human with a brain the size of a chimpanzee. Homo habilis was a scavenger, nothing more. It lived in the shadow of its cousin, Australopithecus, Ofarensis, or Lucy's species, which was much stronger and could use stones as tools. Over the course of several 100,000 years, Homo habilis increased in height from 1.2 to 1.5 meters and doubled its brain size to 600 cubic centimeters. In our story, this is a very important milestone, because it can be said that everything we have achieved since has its origins here. The development of the brain allowed for new things to be done, such as speaking and using more complex tools. Eventually, the hominids split into 3 different groups, one of which became us. This was a period of great migration and exploration, and it is thought that Homo habilis spread across Africa, Europe and Asia, even managing to cross the Strait of Bosphorus and reach the Middle East. They would settle there permanently around 2 million years ago. At this point, Homo habilis was already an expert tool user, although it still did not know how to manufacture them yet. During the excavations in Ethiopia at the site of Gona, it was found that the oldest pieces of worked stone found so far come from 2.6 million years ago. They belong to the Kenyan industry, but they are older than the corresponding pieces of the old Dowan industry of our direct ancestors. What is certain is that Homo habilis used these tools, but it is not confirmed that he was the one who created them. According to some studies, Homo habilis possessed a speech center similar to ours. However, there is no consensus on this matter yet. The structure of the throat and tongue does not allow us to reconstruct their sounds, and their vocal cords were arranged differently. Maybe they didn't have a language like ours, and maybe they weren't able to speak, but they probably had some kind of communication system. For example, the ability to pronounce simple words or phrases. Unfortunately, we will never know exactly how it sounded. Homo habilis lived in groups of about 15 individuals. Perhaps he was the first hominin who understood the importance of companionship and socialization. Members of this species interacted in many ways, with gestures, facial expressions, sounds, and possibly words. They passed on knowledge about their environment and how to survive in it. Imagine it as a group of friends who go out to explore the world, discover new places, and learn how to better adapt to life. Their food consisted mainly of fruit, vegetables, tubers, and nuts. However, they complemented their diet with meat by stealing from other predators, taking advantage of carcasses and hunting small prey. Some scientists suggest that Homo habilis hunted in packs and ambushed his prey. Although he was smaller and weaker than Australopithecus, he compensated by being smarter and having better long-term vision. They also learned to use the terrain to their advantage, forcing their prey to pass through narrow areas where they could attack them more easily. Around 1.7 million years ago, a dramatic climate change took place. The Earth entered the Ice Age, causing major shifts in plant and animal life. Many mammals began to migrate southwards, while others preferred to die rather than adapt to new conditions. The grasslands expanded, becoming drier and colder, while the forests receded. This transformation significantly impacted the lifestyle of Homo, who had to adjust to the scarcity of food resources and face harsher environmental conditions. But our ancestors were ingenious. They knew how to take advantage of the circumstances. To cope with these changes, they learned to travel long distances in search of sustenance and establish new settlements in regions with milder climates. This marked a significant turning point in the history of Homo habilis. Faced with adversity, they demonstrated remarkable resilience and adaptability, forging new strategies to ensure their survival, and so they managed to continue their existence. About 1 million years later, the Earth warmed up again. As the ice melted, the water formed new lakes and rivers, and the forests returned, becoming denser and taller than before. A new subspecies of Homo habilis, known as Homo habilis rus populations, emerged in the forest regions of eastern and southern Africa. Meanwhile, other populations migrated to the west and northwest of the continent, continuing their expansion across Africa, reaching the Middle East. These new groups hunted bush babies and other small animals, ate tropical fruits, and gathered edible plants. They also improved stone tools, made clothing, and developed more sophisticated hunting techniques. They lived in large groups, probably exceeding 50 members. These populations flourished until another ecological change occurred. As the Earth cooled again, large herbivores migrated southwards, leading to a massive extinction event. At least 30% of all species disappeared forever, including many large African mammals. The forests shrank again, exposing the grasslands to the winds, which eroded the soil and caused the extinction of numerous plants and animals. In this context, the Homo habilis populations living in the west and southwest of Africa suffered greatly, disappearing after 400,000 years of existence. Only the populations that remained in Central and Southern Africa survived. However, they too faced terrible hardships, as the drought continued for hundreds of thousands of years, causing tremendous suffering and decimating their numbers. It is believed that only a few dozen individuals remained in small, isolated groups. Food was scarce and the cold was intense. They had to walk long distances every day in search of food. Luckily, every 10,000 years, a humid period arrived, lasting 1,000 years, during which the rains came and the rivers overflowed, allowing the survivors to replenish their strength. And then something extraordinary happened. Climate change favored the emergence of new hominin species. Homo ergaster, with a larger brain and more robust body, arrived on the scene. This species developed in a drier and colder climate, standing 1.75 meters tall and weighing 65 kg. Its brain reached 750 cubic centimeters, surpassed in size only by Homo sapiens. Homo ergaster was a hunter, not a scavenger like Homo habilis, but a predator that attacked other animals to feed on them. He perfected the use of stone tools, making them sharper and more varied. They also knew how to use a spear thrower to increase the force and range of their javelins, which helped them hunt more effectively. They were also skilled climbers and swimmers, thanks to their elongated arms and hands with longer fingers and larger palms. Sometime between 1.5 and 1.3 million years ago, Homo ergaster encountered Homo habilis in the forests of western and southern Africa. The two species lived together for about 300,000 years. Finally, Homo habilis disappeared forever. Its extinction coincided with the beginning of the Matamarpan culture, named after the archaeological site of Mapungubwe in South Africa. This was the last material culture of the species. Some anthropologists believe that Homo habilis was driven to extinction by its larger cousin. Others argue that Homo habilis was already on the verge of extinction due to natural selection, and that Homo ergaster simply accelerated its disappearance. Whatever the case, the story of Homo habilis came to an end. Its journey through time, spanning hundreds of thousands of years, left an indelible mark on the course of human history. From its humble beginnings as a small proto-human to its mastery of tool use, Homo habilis laid the foundations for the future of the genus Homo. Its disappearance marked the end of an era, giving way to the rise of new hominin species. Yet the legacy of Homo habilis lives on in our own species. Homo sapiens, which evolved from Homo erg. We carry within us the essence of our ancestors, the curiosity, ingenuity, and adaptability that allowed us to survive in a changing world. What do you think? How did Homo habilis manage to survive for so many years? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want, and we will see you next time.